Today I decided for dinner we are going to have stuffed green peppers. I do have the recipe on another video on my channel here. But I decided instead of buying organic tomato sauce, why not make my own and the way I want to? So this is what we're doing. So today we are going to use from my basil. I have my own basil that I'm growing. So this is several leaves of basil chopped up. I've got 2 cloves of garlic in here. I love garlic and I would have done more, but I'm putting garlic in the actual green pepper ground beef part. And my dogs are helping me cook today, so you may hear them walking around. And then we are going to use on the vine organic tomatoes. And I am now cutting up red pepper to go in there. Red onion. I love red onions. All of a sudden, in the last few days, I've decided I really love them. So while that is boiling, you've got to get it really boiled, and you're going to put your tomatoes in there for 2 to 3 minutes, blanch them. While that's boiling, I'm going to cut this up, and we're just going to chit-chat about being a diabetic, which, if you know anything about me, I have found to be a very joyous thing. I'm very grateful to be a diabetic, and the reason is it makes me look at my food, look at what I'm ingesting, look at how I'm treating my body. I have stepped up my working out every day. I try to do it at least 5 days a week. Sometimes I can only get in 3 to 4. If that's the case throughout the week, I usually add 1 day in on the weekend. But I try to get 5 days of a workout in, at least 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the workout I'm doing. And not only that, but it's also helpful just for your body, your mental being, and it's supposed to be just extremely good to help keep dementia at bay as well. Well, we'll see as I get older, right? So I've stepped up my exercising because of being a diabetic. Also, I have to watch everything that I put in my mouth, which I think I might have said a few seconds ago, but you have to really be careful when you're putting sugar and refined carbohydrates in your body. You don't want refined carbohydrates. We need 3 macronutrients to survive, and that would be carbohydrates, protein, and fat. So we have to have that in order for our brain and our body to function. All right, so let me finish up cutting this. We're going to check the water, and better cut this a little bit faster. And we'll get those tomatoes in there. Let's check that water out. So let's turn it around a little bit so we can see the water. So let's check this out. Nope, it's not boiling yet. So let's keep cutting up these onions. I love red onions. I know I already said that. But what you don't want is, like I said, the refined carbohydrates, which what they do is when you get a refined carbohydrate food, they're trying to make the shelf life longer. It really comes down to money. They just want to extend the life of something so that you will buy it. It will not go bad. You will be happy with it. You'll continue to buy it. But when they refine carbohydrates, they literally are taking out the good grains and the good vitamins, most of them, and the fiber, really, that's in there. And we don't want that to happen. Okay. All right. I think I got all my onions cut up here. And we're going to go ahead and check and make sure that our water is boiling. So let's do that really quick. Let's check that out. All right, so we're going to check it now, and give me a second here. Oh yeah, it's boiling. So now what we have to do is we have to blanch them, which I think I may have said. So we're going to put them in. We're going to let them blanch 1 to 2 minutes. While we do that, while it's blanching, which means we're going to take off the skin, and then we're going to cut it in half and take all the seeds out. Then while that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and transfer our red onion that we chopped up into one of the bowls so it's ready. So here we go. Let's drop these in. Obviously, don't plop them in because water will go everywhere, and this is boiling. It's going to hurt you. Here we go. There's 1, 2. Got 2 more over here. 3, 4, and I'm going to put the top on one more time just for a few seconds just to get it going while I put this in. We don't want the water to boil over, obviously, so I will take the top off in just a minute, but I want to put my very tinily chopped, tinily? Is that a word? Red onions in my bowl to get it ready to be cooked along with the tomatoes. Now this takes about 2 hours or so that you're gonna cook everything together. So it's a little bit of time. So if you need it right away, you're out of luck. You need to probably make it the day before or several hours before. And for us, it's several hours before because my husband likes to eat later in the day. I actually would eat with my family between 5 and 5:30. And then when my husband and I got together, he would start cooking dinner around 6 o'clock or so. And because he does a lot of the cooking. And I'd say, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry. How can you eat so late in the day? Excuse me. But that's because his mother had 5 children. Her husband would not get home until 6:37, and she would have dinner ready for him. And the kids would all sit down and they would eat that way. In my family, my father, I don't know why, but he would be done between 4:30 and 5, come home, we'd eat between 5:30, or pardon me, 5 and 5:30. So differences in growing up. All right, let's go ahead and take the top off because I don't want this to boil over. We're going to give it 1 more minute. It's already been in for just over a minute. We're going to do 1 more just in case. And we're going to get this ready and we'll peel off the skin. Be careful, it is a little bit hot doing that. So you're going to want to probably use tongs, which I have. So you're going to take the tongs, you're going to put it on your cutting board. You're going to peel off the skin. Again, it's hot. So you might, what I do in the past, it's been a while since I've blanched tomatoes, but you just kind of make a little cutting and you pull it off. So we're going to let it cool off for just a minute once I get it out of there. All right, so let's go ahead. It has been just over 2 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and grab it out. Okay, so here we go. Let's take them out. You don't want to get burned. It's quite hot. So we're going to use the top here for any extra of the hot water. And looks like they're kind of splitting. To be quite honest, what I did was I put a little bit of a cut in all 4 of them to help speed up the process. I actually found out about that on accident. So, all right. So we're going to go ahead and take off the skin. Let's see, I've got my fork here. And we're going to hold it down. And again, you're going to want to let this cool off a bit. So we're going to go ahead and let it cool off and come right back to it. All right, so they're pretty cool now. So let's go ahead and take off this. Ooh, look at that coming right off. Which is exactly what we want. So let's go ahead and we're just going to put it in this bowl here. Take this off. It took a few minutes for it to cool down. A trick I did learn, which I did not show on this because it just would take too long and it's kind of boring. Put it in some colder water just for maybe a minute and that will cool down. Still warm when you take it off, but all right, so let's wipe off our hands. Now we're going to go ahead and core it and take out the seeds. So where you see where the stem was, you're going to, well, actually, let's just cut it in half. To me, that's easier. And then we're going to go ahead and scoop out the seeds, which isn't too difficult once it's been blanched up. If you have some seeds in there, that's okay. Just make sure and I know I don't have to say this, but you know you need to make sure that you wash your hands. Okay. And then, so that's good. And then you're going to want to make sure that the core part is off. You don't want that in your sauce. Okay, that's off. Let's go ahead and core up the rest, get off the seeds. Personally, I love the seeds. I love the juicy part of center, I should say, but it doesn't go well in your sauce. You don't want any of that. Okay, so let's scoop it out with, it is a little messy, but it's very easy just to scoop it on out like that. And then take off the core. Okay, we'll put that in. Now, I will say, one thing my mother would do is she would save all of this and make a soup. or, you know, the stock for it. I don't do that. I want to learn how to do that, but I have never done that myself. I do make soup. I make chicken soup, although it's been a while since I've made the chicken soup. But I do make chicken soup, no noodles, because, you know, we can't have noodles. And oh, that cord just came right off. Okay, make sure the seeds are out, right? And let's cut that out. Now, if you have a recipe that you can use the insides of the tomato that we are not using, I would love to hear about it. I would love to hear. Okay, oops, a few more seeds in that one. And I will finish up the rest of this so that you do not have to see me doing it. All right, so I'll come back and have that part done, and then we'll start the cooking part. All right, so now we're going to saute our onions and our garlic. And usually you use olive oil, which is fine, especially if you get the really good extra virgin olive oil. But I like to use avocado oil. So it calls for about 1/4. I have one less tomato than what most of the recipes call for, because again, it's just my husband and me. So I'm not gonna do a full 1/4. I'm gonna do just under. Let's go ahead and put it in our pan that we used, or our pot we used for the tomatoes, to blanch the tomatoes. I'm just gonna use all the same stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn on the oven here. Get it going. And we'll just saute until you can smell, you know, get the fragrance of the onion and the garlic. It's just gonna take a few minutes. So while that warms up, let me get a little drink here. I know I probably have talked about this before, but I love flavored, you know, not soda water, but it's like soda water, like the seltzer. I love it, but I don't get any with sugar, and I try to get completely all natural, because you don't know what you're putting in your body. And sometimes they can say it's natural and it's not. It just depends on the state, and the government really doesn't regulate as well as they should. But okay. I see a little bit more in there. Let's get that in. I love avocados. I love avocado oil. Avocados are so, so good for you. Now, there's one thing I'm going to tell you about tomatoes really quick. While this is sauteing, I'm going to give you a little education on why tomatoes are so good for us. But let's go ahead and get this in first. Go ahead and get that in. We're going to just scrape it all in. Okay, and now let's get the garlic in. Yum. And homemade food is just so much better for you than just buying all the fast food. Okay, and then we're gonna grab a little spoon here. Try to keep everything here. And the day that I'm making this, I have come home from work. I was at an event earlier. It was actually a really fun event, but I immediately changed into my Grizzlies gear and some sweatpants and thought, oh, I'm gonna do all the cooking right now and show you guys how I'm doing it. Okay, so let's turn this down. We're gonna let it on just under medium heat, and I'm gonna let that saute for a few minutes. But what I'm going to tell you is I'm going to tell you a little bit about tomatoes, why they're so good for you. Number one, they've got lots of vitamins in it. They have calcium, vitamin C, they have potassium, they have folate, and I'm going to go into a little bit more on some of these vitamins. Folate, vitamin K, and beta carotene. Now, we all know vitamin C, that helps, you got a cold, it helps fight that, gives you the soldiers to keep your body healthy. And we all know calcium, good for your bones. But folate, I know folate is something that people think, oh, it makes my fingernails grow. If you're pregnant, you're going to take folate. One thing about folate, it forms DNA, and it's a protein metabolism. It helps with your metabolism. It helps work with the proteins in you. And then vitamin K, that is actually, it helps with clotting your blood. So that's definitely something, if you cut yourself or anything from something small like that, which I've cut myself. I don't know how I did this the other day, but I did it, and it just bled for over an hour. It was so annoying. let me stir this. Anyway, it helps with blood clotting. This looks like it's pretty much done. Turn it down a tad more. We're going to give it a few more seconds. And then you've got beta carotene, which that helps you with your vision and your eye health. So all of this works together with tomatoes. So tomatoes are extremely good for us. Not everyone likes tomatoes, and I don't understand that. All right, so let's go ahead. We're gonna add our tomatoes. Now I'm gonna let this cook on low to medium, probably more low, for 2 hours because you want to make sure it's saucy. So saucy. All right, let's go ahead and get that in. Let's get those tomatoes in. And it's kind of sad that you don't get to use all bits of tomatoes. Now, when I was saying to cut it and take out the seeds, the seeds earlier, I should have explained a little bit better. You don't want any of that core in there because the core is not going to become sauce. It's very hard. All right, let's go ahead and get our basil in there. And I know I said this already, and I shouldn't have to say it, but make sure you're washing your hands throughout the entire cooking time. If you stop to make any kind of adjustments to anything that has not to do with your food, wash your hands. You can get very, very sick from that. Okay, so now we're going to let this cook, and I like to smush it up. In the past when I have attempted to make this, so just let this go on low. So we're going to go ahead, let this cook. We're going to let it cook for the next 2 hours on low, and then I will show you my results after. Okay, thanks. I'm going to show you the final results. It's been in for about an hour and a half, and the smell is amazing, better than any tomato sauce that you can buy in the store. And I'm going to try it. And it doesn't look all red like the sauce that you buy in the store because it's real. Oh my gosh, it is so yummy. So I will be adding this in to my green peppers that I'm making tonight. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It makes the house smell so yummy. All right, so if you do make this, please let me know what you think. If you happen to see my green pepper rubs recipe, make it for that and let me know what you think. Okay, one grateful diabetic to another. Enjoy.